seconds. Still gaining ground is Jim Smith in the Ultra Wheels Ford, also having passed Walker, who reportedly is having severe suspension and transmission problems. Ivan Stewart is having a great day so far. He hasn't had any major problems and is gaining time on the leaders. Here's Walker Evans now, and that is probably why he has fallen behind. The rear suspension is no longer working on his truck. You can be sure that Walker is not a happy man today. Tom Baker in the RCR Ford Ranger has dropped another position, also having severe suspension problems. This course has really taken its toll on the trophy trucks. A few miles ahead at the Borrego pit area, the leaders are making their first stops. Still physically in first place is Steve Kelly in the Mike Leslie Racing Jeep Grand Cherokee. Even though he's physically in first place, he's lost time, and that will put him back in the final standings. Right behind Kelly is the Rough Rider truck of Dave and Paul Simon.
That's not him!
That was a picture of Rob McCachran you heard, a little confused of who that was coming. Both trucks of Simon and McCachran are identically painted and are hard to tell apart, especially out here with all the dust. There you can see that Rob has come in for a new set of tires and a full tank of gas. Some crew members are starting to look under the front of the truck also. And while Rob is still in his pit, Larry Ragland passes by and into his. A rough section is coming up, so Larry too will get a new set of tires in the back. These big trucks with a lot of horsepower go through tires rather quickly. Fortunately, the BF Goodrich company has a pretty good budget to keep these guys going. Ragland is in and out with no problems and not wasting any time either. But Rob McCachran, on the other hand, has been delayed in his pit, having to add some motor oil and also having to get a couple of bolts tightened under the front end. Rob has lost quite a bit of time and now has to play catch up to both Ragland and the Simons. Rounding up the list of the top contenders at the Borrego pit area is Ivan Stewart, who has been running very well so far. As you can see, they're not even changing the tires on this truck. Ivan will only fuel up and get back underway. Stay with us for the last leg of the 1994 San Felipe Tecate Trophy Truck Competition coming up right after this break. Mexico for the last leg of today's trophy truck race. Here's a wrap-up. We're now approximately 150 miles into the race and halfway through the inner loop. The tough San Felipe terrain has taken its toll, segregating the top 5 leaders from the rest of the pack in a race all to themselves. The Simon brothers have now passed Steve Kelly to take the lead and are going very strong, as you just saw. If they can keep up this pace, it might mean win number 2 in a row for the Simon and Simon Rough Rider team. Kelly is running a little slower behind the Simons, having lost 4-wheel drive, but is still in the top 3. Rob McCachran, racing with an injured hand after hitting a tree earlier in the race, is right behind Kelly and moving up. He has already passed number 80 Larry Ragland, who is also a contender. The fastest times so far have been posted by number 11 Ivan Stewart in the new Toyota SR5 truck. He has physically moved ahead of Ragland, Evans, Douglas, Smith, and Baker. All had started ahead of Stewart with 4 minutes in between. This unofficially has put him in first place. Evans, Douglas, Smith, and Baker are all having severe downtimes due to mechanical problems. Rounding up the leaders is Larry Ragland, flying through the tight, rough course on his way to checkpoint 4 and then quickly south to the finish line in San Felipe. Back at the Borrego pits for the second time, Steve Kelly has stopped to pit before heading on for the finish line. He has lost time to Rob McCacken, but is safe from the Simon brothers. They are out with a blown engine. The overall time leader, Ivan Stewart, has rated into his pit, informing of rear suspension problems, so the pit crew will be changing the shocks, costing Ivan some precious time.
Are we clear? Fire him up! Fire him up!
The readiness of the crew made for a very quick pit stop for Ivan, who was actually looking for a second place finish at this point. During the stop, Cal Wiles of PPI Racing told Ivan to stand on it to the end. Once out of the Borrego pit, Ivan made a quick dash to the finish line to get the overall trophy truck win in just over 4 hours and 14 minutes, averaging 58 miles per hour, faster than Rob McCacken and Steve Kelly, who arrived before him. Once the champagne shower was over, our Jerry Garrett had a chance to talk to Ivan.
Second pit stop at Borrego looked like things kind of might be slipping away, and Cal said stand on it, drive as hard as you can, and I guess that's the solution that worked.
Well, yeah, it did work. You know, you have, you try and run a race like this without any problems and have a little shock problem come up like that. But I was lucky that I got into the pits. It only happened like 3 or 4 miles from the pits, and the guys obviously changed it real quick. Simon had some problems, and I was able to run with McCacken. So, Jerry, it worked out for us. Toyota come through again. No flat tires, BF Goodrich, so feel real good with that.
Ivan did go on to say, "I can't seem to do anything wrong in Mexico. I love it here." We'll have the rest of the San Felipe 250 when we come back.
Hard charging parts, smooth riding parts, big blocking and locking parts.
At the trophy truck finish in San Felipe, where Ivan Stewart and the only Toyota has taken his 3rd consecutive win here in Baja. Rounding off our winners is Rob McCacken, who broke a finger after hitting a tree. He was 2nd. Steve Kelly in a Jeep was 3rd. Larry Ragland, driving a Chevy, came in 4th. Jim Smith's ultra-wheel Ford was 5th. Walker Evans limped in into 6th place. John Swift, who just made it in on time for the start, finished 7th in his Ford Explorer. Bob Ritchie and the RCR team finished 8th, but were disqualified for driving backwards on the course. The Simon brothers, Scott Douglas, and Scoop Vessels did not finish. The finish and award ceremony for the trophy trucks took place at Contingency Row for Saturday's race. This was an additional treat for the spectators as well as our viewers. Now quickly wrapping up Saturday's event.